My name is Gigi Nussbickel. I was born in 1940 in Berlin during the war. I remember myself as a little tot sitting on a knapsack and always being torn out of bed because of the bombing attacks, and so we escaped. We went south, and I remember that we ended up in a school building that was evacuated, and we were there with other refugees. And when I was 11 years old, God reached down and I became aware that there was a God and that He created the universe, and that changed my world. I was 21 years old, hitchhiking to Hamburg, and went to ships companies to find the cheapest way. And there was an Italian coal freighter, and they had 10 cabins, and I got one. And I don't remember how much it cost, but it took 2 weeks. And there was a big storm, and it was wild. And I remember that the chairs were just flying, and people, most of them were in their cabins, and the others were hanging and vomiting. But afterwards, it was so peaceful and beautiful. And the dolphins were jumping. And when I walk here, I remember the dolphins. So I arrived in Norfolk after 2 weeks. And I was so excited. I remember I had a white nylon blouse, and I stood there holding it up like I was welcoming America. And at that moment, the immigration officer came on the boat, and I was not very organized. But I was so grateful, because in Germany, when somebody has a uniform, you are very much, they get all the respect. And he smiled at me after he looked at my passport, and he said, "Welcome to America." And it made all the difference. And then I took a Greyhound bus from there, because after my father died, my mother rented to Mormon missionaries. And so one of the missionaries wrote to me, and he said, if you come to America, you can work in our fishing lodge at the Snake River, on the Snake River. So he said, there will be no problem. You can make $500 in tips. So that's how it all worked out. So I bought the Greyhound ticket, which was the cheapest. And in 5 days and 5 nights, I made it to Idaho, where they got me. And I think it must have been Idaho Falls, there in the area. But the thing was, of course, I studied about America to get prepared, and I had read that you needed to tip. And in Germany, we don't tip, they automatically take the money out. So I didn't know how much you have to tip. And of course, I like to be frugal, but generous in God's work. But when it comes to life, I don't like a lot of stuff. I love budgets. So I didn't know how much to tip. And I figured out, in those days I had a sweet tooth, that the safest way for me, since I didn't know any of the American food or what they offered in these cafeterias and depots, that I would go for the pie, because I had had pie on the ship. And so for 5 days, my 3 meals were morning, noon, and evening, a piece of pie. And it was a good experience. I mean, I don't like pie that much, but in those days, I found out that I liked the cream pies the best, and the lemon meringue was my favorite. But there was one problem. After 5 days of pies, I came and I had pimples all over, and I was totally constipated. So the pies were 35 cents in those days, and I tipped 25 cents. So everybody liked me. I didn't know that I was over tipping. A dime looked just too chintzy to me. And so for $9, I traveled clear from Norfolk to Idaho. That was ideal. What made me choose America was the kindness of the people. Their big hearts. I love America, but I love greyhounds. So.